Okay, so today we will discuss now about the banking system. Banks are actually institutions you interact with regularly, no? Like, for example, when you save allowance, withdraw money from an ATM, or your parents pays bills online. So, understanding how banks work will actually help you manage money wisely and make better financial decisions in the futures. So, it's very important that we know the basic concept on how it actually works. So let's proceed to the learning competencies. So after this lesson, you should be able to explain the overview of the banking system, identify the different classification of banks, enumerate the services offered by banks. So these skills are important because almost everyone will deal with banks at some point in their life. So as what I told you, I really encourage my students, so as young as you are right now, to actually do some transactions in the banks, because later on sa musugotag sa dili, most especially when you will be work in the future, you have to do several transactions in there, because almost everything is um, almost every sahod, for example, is ginaano na siya, gina through bank na siya ang iyahang pagpasok sa payroll. Example lang yan. Then if you do some loan transactions, so of course it will be through banks most of the time. So that's why I actually encourage everyone to um, do banking transaction as early as now. Okay, so let's proceed to the next one, no, about the overview, no, with regards to overview in the goldsmith, no. Banking started with goldsmith in medieval Europe. People stored gold and valuables in goldsmith. So vaults for goldsmith vaults actually for safekeeping and paid rent. No, example, imagine thou leaving your jewelry with someone who has a very secure safe and paying them for protection. So that is where goldsmithing is actually very famous, no, sa unang panahon, because some of the people are actually afraid to carry all of those gems or golds or valuable commodities, no. So banking profession was first carried out by the goldsmith in medieval Europe. So the idea being that valuable commodities will be left by the owners at the goldsmith vault or whatever form of storage for safekeeping. Town residents will pay the goldsmith in the form of rent for keeping, preserving, and protecting their inventory from thief. So most of the people actually do do this because they actually feel unsafe, no, if they will carry all of those. That's why they are looking for a third party to actually safe keep all of their valuables, no. So goldsmiths started lending out and asking interest from the money they do not own to begin with. So over time, goldsmith realized that not all depositors withdraw their gold at the same time. Some of them is actually just kanang putting that gold reserves in their vault, but then they really do not want to get it right away. So they just don't have they just feel that being kept in that vault is safer in what they think. So they began lending part of the gold and charging interest. So that's the idea for the goldsmiths, no, keepers, na para um, maging productive yung yung mga valuables na nakadeposit sa kanila. Kasi naman na keep lang siya sa vault and it will not generate anything. So example, if 10 people deposit golds but only 2 usually withdraw the goldsmith, but only 2 usually withdraw it, by the goldsmith can lend the rest and earn income out from it. Okay, so that's the idea on how it was um, how it was kept before, no. So let's go with the loose banking era. So taking deposits and making loans out of deposits are the usual business of institutions now called banks, no? But unlike the old time, the depositors did not have to pay a fee or rent to the banker to safeguard their gold in his secure vault. Instead, they received a compensation in the form of interest, income to park their excess golds with the bankers. This was the era of unregulated banks. So banking during this era was entrepreneurial in nature. There were no licenses required and there was no regulation. So some of the famous bankers like the Medici family in Italy and the Rothschild family in Germany. So banks issued um no no. During this time pala, banks were unregulated, no, so wala pa kaayo nag-oversee about how it do its work. Anyone could open a bank without permission from the government. So yun, famous families like the Medici and Rothschild become powerful bankers before. However, that lack of rules led to abuse and fraud, no, so that is why as time evolves, gi-regulate na talaga yung pag-open up ng banks throughout the entire world. Okay? So let's proceed to the issuance of private banknotes. Private banks would issue private banknotes. The notes were nothing but a receipt for gold that had been deposited at the bank and could be withdrawn if the receipt was presented. So some of these notes were bearer notes. Example, the gold would be paid out to whoever brought in the note of the bank. So bank issued private banknotes which were receipts for the deposited gold. Okay? So these notes could be exchanged for gold by anyone who held them, kung sino yung may hawak ng note. Example, similar to how today, paper money represents value even without gold backing. Okay? So, sa una, um, yun na nga, if they will deposit some gold, so they will be given paper receipt or yung ginatawag na tong private bank notes, no, para that would signify that they have deposited some gold in their ano. So whoever will carry that one has the capacity to withdraw that gold. So sa ngayon, when we are going to withdraw anything in our bank, dili siya dali, no, daghan na kaayo siya og kanang daghan na kayo siya process, daghan na kayo siya mga approval. So since unregulated yung banking system noon, so anybody who has the paper banknotes so can freely really withdraw the gold that you deposited. So in ana kaluag ang katong ano sa una, policy sa una. So, the rise of central banks. Unscrupulous banking practice was the obvious eventuality of the absence of banking regulation. This is the reason why central banks came into existence. So, the purpose is to prevent honest banks from losing business and at the same time to bring an order to an otherwise chaotic banking landscape. Central banks were banks created by special grant by the government. They would act as a banker to the government. At its most fundamental level, a central bank is simply a bank that is tasked by the central government to control the money supply for the purpose of promoting economic stability. So, because of abuses and chaos, government created actually a central bank. So, central banks regulate other banks and control money supplies. So, example, in the Philippines, this role is performed by the what we call Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So, I know that you are familiar with the BSP and there will be subjects, financial subjects nga ma-encounter niyo in the future in which you will be discussing specifically about the role and purpose of having this Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Now, let us talk about the fractional reserve system. So, I think na-discuss na rin ako before, no? But this FRS means that banker only need to keep a fraction of the funds on deposit. Therefore, if a bank receive 100 as deposit, it needs to maintain, let's say, 10 as deposit and the rest can be used for lending. So this 10 amount is set by the central bank and it periodically increases and decreases the money supply as required. Banks do not keep all deposited money in their vaults. No example, yun na nga, if you deposit 100 pesos, So the bank may keep 10, tapos yung 90 pesos is they will lend it to somebody. So this system allow banks to lend money and stimulate economic activity. Kaysa naman mag-rest lang yung money doon sa bank, tapos wala siyang ano ba, wala siyang kanang walay mahitabo ato nga kwarta. So for it to generate more income, so it will be used in some other services. So let's talk about the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So objectives, the BSP's primary objective is to maintain price stability conducive to a balanced and sustainable economic growth. The BS also aims to promote and preserve monetary stability and the convertibility of the national currency. So yung BSP actually supervises banks, no, and ensures that the peso remains stable. So example, pag merong sudden increase of the goods and services, no, like when inflation rises, BSP may increase interest rates to control also the spending. So with their memo circular, so everybody should follow it, kay para because of that mas maging stable yung economy natin. So your responsibilities, the BSP provides policy directions in the areas of money, banking and credit, and it supervises operations of banks and exercises regulatory powers over non-bank financial institutions with quasi-banking functions. Okay? So next is we have classifications of banks. No, banks are classified based on their size, function, and target clients. So we will now discuss the different types of banks operating in the Philippines. So let us start with the universal and commercial bank. So commercial bank refers to a financial institution that accepts deposits, offers checking account services, makes various loans, and offers basic financial products like certificates of deposits and savings accounts to individuals and small businesses. So their scope focuses mainly on deposit taking and lending activities. Their function accept deposits, issues loans, offers payment services, and provides credit facilities. Yung target clients naman nila are general public, business, small to large, and example for this is yung Security Bank and East West Bank. So commercial banks serve as the general public and businesses actually mainly. So they actually accept deposits, no, give loans and offer payment services. Example, when your parents deposit salary or apply for a personal loan at Security Bank. So that's an example for that one. Okay. Now let's go to the universal bank. This is a system in which banks provides a wide variety of comprehensive financial services, including those tailored to retail, commercial, and investment services. So, example for these are BDO, Metrobank, and Land Bank. So, universal banks offers the widest range of services, no? Yung commercial banking, investment banking, and underwriting. So, example again, yung mga, yun na nga, BDO or Metrobank serving big corporations, even like for we are under the Metrobank when it comes to the payroll, giving off our salary. So they actually serves big corporation and even a small and micro enterprises. They actually assist them and of course individual clients. They can perform a lot of functions, no, as shown in the slide. Okay, let's move on to thrift bank. A thrift banking system is composed of savings and mortgage banks, private development banks, stock savings and loan associations, and microfinance thrift banks. So, thrift banks focuses on savings and consumer loans. Yun. They provide housing loans, car loans, and loans for SMEs. Yung scope nila is smaller than commercial banks, no? Because they actually focuses on savings and consumer loans only. So example is when a family apply for a housing loan or a car loan from a thrift bank like yung Sterling Bank of Asia. So yan. Okay, let's go move on to the rural and cooperative banks. So rural and cooperative banks are the more popular type of banks in the rural communities. So their role is to promote and expand the rural economy in an orderly and effective manner by providing the people in the rural communities with basic financial services. Rural banks and cooperative banks are differentiated from each other by ownership, which while rural banks are privately owned and managed, cooperative banks are organized or owned by cooperatives or federation of cooperatives. So these banks actually support rural development, no, more on dun sa mga medyo province. Yan. Example, when a farmer is borrowing money for seeds or a fisherman getting loans for fishing equipment, so yan yung mga ginatabangan sa ato ang rural and cooperative bank. So, rural bank pala. So, yung co-op bank naman shall primarily involve financial banking and credit services to cooperatives and their members and to general public. It may also perform any or all of the banking services offered by other types of banks subject to prior approval of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So, cooperative banks are owned by cooperatives. Yun. Example, when you have a farmers cooperative borrowing funds to expand their rice production, or yung mga credit cooperative, or yung mga multi-purpose cooperative, yan. Yung mga target clients nila are very specific, no? It can be a farmer or yung cooperative member also. But then although even if they are a cooperative, they still have banking transactions, no? Murag gyapon silang bangko. So yan. So let's have the rural bank. So rural bank may perform the following: extend loans and advances to farmers, fishermen, farm families, cooperatives, merchants, private and public employees. They accept savings and time deposits. Act as correspondents for other financial institutions. Rediscount paper with Land Bank of the Philippines, Development Bank of the Philippines, or other bank. Act as a collection agent. So rural banks serve small communities unlike the commercial and universal bank. So example, when a sari-sari store owner borrow capital from a rural bank in the province, so that's an example of how rural bank help, no, the small communities. So even if, like for example, the One Network Bank is actually acquired by BDO, um, wala gihapon gikuha or gitanggal si One Network Bank, but it is now kanang known as BDO Network Bank, but naa gihapon siya, wala gihapon siya gi-dissolve kay it's because yung target market niya is different from BDO, no, it is more on the rural na mga small communities. Okay, so next is let's tackle about the services offered by bank, no. Aside from accepting deposits and lending money, banks offer many services that make daily life easier. Okay. Number one, of course, accepting deposits, no? Banks accept savings, checkings, yun, and time deposits. So, example, you deposit your allowance in savings account to keep it safe and earn interest. So, number two is loan services. So, bank lends money and also they earn interest. So, common example, when a student loan or when a business person loans or mag-housing loan kayo, so you can actually do that or avail of that services, no, in the bank. So next is yung ATM services. So ATM actually allows 24/7 access to cash even if kanang kadlawon na or there is no banking hours na, but you can still take advantage of its services like the 24-hour availability, yeah, elimination of labor cost, ikaw na mismo yung mag-transact, and convenience of location. Almost every corner right now in Tagum, for example, already has an ATM machine, no, in which you cannot just pwede even if it is not the bank, no, of your kanang ATM card gani, even if dili siya machine sa kanang bangko sa imong ATM, but then you can still withdraw on that specific ATM, pero of course for a fee gihapon na siya. So withdrawing money late at night without going inside the bank is actually a good uh, good na perks for ATM card holders. Most especially if we have emergencies, we can do that transaction. So meron din tayong tinatawag na bank guarantee. So banks act as guarantors for clients, no? Like for example, when a contractor needing a bank guarantee to bid on a government project. So if yung bank will vouch for you, so there could be possibility nga approve yung gina-request natin. So check payment, banks process checks issued by account holders. Example, paying rent or tuition using a check. Yan. Check kumbaga. So, next is collection and payment arrangement. So, banks collect and pay financial instruments. Example, depositing a post-dated check from a customer. So, we can actually, the bank can actually do that services. Okay, another is yung sa consultancy services, no? Banks offer financial advice. Example, advising clients, no, where to invest their money or how to manage loans, no? Kasi they actually knows best, no, inside sa bangko. So, you can actually ask the experts there on make how to make the financial aspect or your finances more productive. Then we also have credit cards, no. Credit cards allow a buy now pay later na transaction. So example, when you use credit card to buy groceries, and then most especially if wala ka talaga ngayon. So pwede nimo siya gamiton, and then of course you will just pay it for next month. So, we also have this what we call debit card. This is the usual, no? Debit cards withdraw money directly from your account. So, if you saved this specific money, for example, in your account, so you can use the debit card for you to withdraw it. So, yung debit card, kaibahan ng debit and credit card, actual money talaga na dineposit sa iyo yung sa debit card. Yung sa credit card naman, nagborrow ka lang sa bank, no, with a specific money. So paying for food using a debit card and no borrowing involved because that's your money. So that's the services that you can get if you use the debit card. So discounting bills of exchange, like banks advance money for bills that will be paid later. Example, when a business needing cash immediately instead of waiting for payment. So the bank can actually make you borrow a money, no, para sa kana. So next is foreign currency exchange. Banks exchange currency, exchanging pesos to dollars for travel abroad. Like for example, when I traveled in Thailand or in Vietnam, so um, when I withdraw sa ATM dito sa gawa, so it can actually um, ano na daan kanang iyahan na dang i-convert, no, into their own nga currency. Like if you are in Thailand, so automatic nga nakabat na siya daan. So I think mas better nga mag-withdraw ka through ATM kaysa sa magpa-exchange ka, kasi real time na exchange rate yung kanang ano jud siya ba, mas lesser ang unsa niya value compared sa katong I mean bank value jud siya compared sa kanang magpa-exchange jud ka sa counter. So naa pa siya mga dagdag nga fee. Okay, we also have home banking, no? Um, and mobile banking, home banking, mobile banking, and online banking, pare-pareho lang yan. But banking can now be done actually digitally. So example, when you pay bills, when you transfer funds, or check balance through a mobile app, you can do all of those transactions without being physically present on the bank itself, no? Kay kung adto magud kag bank, daghan kayong tao, init pa, it will take you time, energy, ana. So daghan kayo kag kanang mga considerations. So we also have overdraft facility, no, from the bank, no. So overdraft allows withdrawal beyond the account balance. So like withdrawing 2,000 even if your balance in the bank is only 1,500. Pero of course, mura pud kang nagbaro og 500 pero napo na siya patong no with interest. So another is priority banking and private banking. Isahon na lang nato na siya. So these services cater to high income clients, no. Example, um example is for priority banking, para dili na ka magsigyo og adto dito sa bangko para magbayad ani nga bill. So you can actually arrange for an auto debit arrangement. So automatic na with the system, like kanang for example ako, I have availed of a certain services nga kailangan siya mag-deposit ko og 500 pesos per month. So gina auto debit arrangement na lang nako siya nga from my account mo automatic siya og withdraw para i-deposit sa katong services. So that's the auto debit arrangement. So it does not require me to be physically present at the bank, no, to do the transaction. So para naman sa private banking, yung sa mga high net worth individuals, yung mga mayayaman, yan. So, meron ding mga wealth management services offered to them for high income clients, no, for business owners or executive. Okay. Remittance of funds, of course, we can do that, no. Banks help transfer money, like OFW sending money to their families in the Philippines. Yan, they can transfer funds from one place to another through checks or drafts. Okay, so I think that's it, no? And conclusion for this topic na lang, banks play a vital role in our economy and actually in our daily life, no? Whether you are saving money, magbaro ka para sa education nimo, or mag-run ka ng business, actually yung bank, it actually help move money safely and efficiently. Okay, that's why I always tell you na it is much safer to keep your money in the banks than in your piggy bank, na kasi it actually kanang it will actually make the use of your money more efficiently. So understanding banking helps you become financially responsible adult, and later on again you will be dealing with some banking transactions. So that is actually part and parcel na of our life, no, when we do transactions using bank. So you can if you actually know the basic things to do or transact, so it would be very helpful for you to be financially independent in the future. Okay, so that's it, and have a nice day.